Life is a series of battles. Battles against complacency, battles against fear, battles against the inertia trying to keep you stuck in the same old patterns. And in these battles, we all take our lumps. We all face setbacks, defeats, and moments where we get knocked squarely on our backsides. The question is not whether you will face these frustrating failures. The question is, what will you do when you find yourself lying on the mat, dazed and discouraged? Will you stay there wallowing in self-pity and making excuses? Or will you muster the grit and resilience to get back up and fight again? This time with more wisdom and determination. Let me be crystal clear. If your goal is an extraordinary life, a life lived fullest to your vast potential, you will face setbacks. You will face frustrations and roadblocks that seem impassable. If you never encounter these battles and defeats, it's because you've aimed too small. You've set the bar too low to ever actualize anything remarkable. No, the path to a life of greatness and fulfillment is forged through innumerable tests, trials, wrong turns, and getting knocked down over and over again. That's the price of admission for something exponentially greater than a life of passive comforts and simplistic ease. The deciding factor is not whether you will face these obstacles. That's inevitable. The crucial factor that separates the extraordinary from the mediocre is whether you fight another round when stagnant by temporary defeat. Do you have the unshakable self-belief and persistent tenacity to pick yourself up yet again? To recover from that soul-crushing setback or gut punch failure and swing away with all your might? To redesign a new innovative strategy and get back on the horse for another tilt at the windmill? Or do you rationalize the towel tossing? Make convenient excuses about the game being rigged, the odds too stacked, and that the price to be paid outweighs your willingness to work through the potential rewards? Do you quit on yourself while painting the resignation as some noble surrender sparing you from further struggle? The choice is yours. You can settle for a lukewarm, painless existence capped at a level far below your capabilities. A life marked by the regrets of unrealized ambitions and abandoned dreams, where the dull ache of what could have been slowly atrophies your hunger for something greater. Or you can embark on the unconventional path, the road less traveled, where success is only forged through successive iterations of grit and resilience, where every seemingly insurmountable obstacle does not spell permanent defeat, but merely the need to shift strategies and come at it with renewed vigor. On this path, there are no shortcuts or easy workarounds, just continuous growth through confronting new levels of difficulty head. On each time you gain a new foothold of progress. You will take your punches. You will swallow some bitter tasting disappointment. You will question whether it's all worth the relentless climb. But if you have the courage to keep getting back up after every knockdown, not only will you develop the resilience required for triumph, but you will gain the profound self-respect of someone who steadfastly refused to abandon themselves to a life of spiritual mediocrity. That life of good enough, it begins luring you from a place of complacency and insidious comforts. It takes root when temporary setbacks shake your belief and persistence. And if you're not careful, that mentality of resignation will slowly but surely infect all your biggest dreams and ambitions like a rusting disease. You will start giving in to fear, doubting yourself, and shrinking back from truly pursuing the fullest amplitude of what your life could be. It happens in a million subtle ways. A lack of hustle here, a trail gone cold there, small compromises that seem inconsequential in the moment. Until one day you look back and realize you've squandered the vitality of your life journey on 1,000 tiny retreats from potential greatness. That's the real tragedy, choosing a death by innumerable tiny surrenders rather than fighting for your dreams with everything you have and leaving it all out on the battlefield of your life's ambition. So how can you avoid this slippery slope that lures so many well-intentioned people away from fulfilling their greatest potential? Easy? Adopt the mindset that your life is a perpetual upward climb. A climb filled with jagged terrains, perilous avalanches, and endless new tiers of higher altitudes demanding to be summited through grit and innovation. On this expedition, there are no complete victories or finished accomplishments, just a continuation of ever more ambitious plateaus and summits to overcome. Once you adopt this paradigm, you stop viewing setbacks and defeats as catastrophic failures of your efforts. Instead, they become temporary pauses and opportunities to catch your breath, learn from experience, and map out a new path up the summit after being turned back by unforeseen circumstances. You stop licking your wounds and succumbing to self-pity while visualizing some final elusive capstone finish line of success. Instead, you gather yourself on the fly, make rapid iterations of strategy, and start ascending the next pitch with hard-won knowledge and undiminished tenacity. Because on the path of aiming ever higher, there is no risk of completing your journey or achieving some final success that renders you obsolete. No, on this path of audacious striving and exponential growth, you are always a beloved work of art in perpetual progress. Setbacks are just opportunities to recommit to the process, to fan the flames of your hunger and sharpen the edges of your experience through attempting escalating degrees of difficulty. Each misstep and tumble is a lesson banked and not a finite conclusion. What does not kill you passes on compounding strength and wisdom. Imagine going through life this way, with anti-fragile persistence that gets fortified rather than derailed by obstacles, with the tenacity and resilience to extract lessons and motivation from failures rather than conceding them as final demoralizing outcomes, with a mindset that sees life as a successive series of upward ascents rather than a linear path from A to B. By adopting this paradigm, you become indestructible, unstoppable. Obstacles and adversities become irrelevant interference in the grander scope of your upward spiraling journey. You are forever committed to getting back up and resuming your climb after every setback, unfazed and undaunted. From this lens, quitting is no longer even an option because you have not lost anything besides a temporary opportunity to employ new strategy and persist. There is no end-game finish line, just the next mountain to summit and the fortitude needed to persevere until you're standing atop it. Now let's revisit the alternatives. Do you really want to wake up one day and realize you hit your plateau decades ago and resigned yourself to that as acceptable? That 1,000 micro-surrenders and half-hearted efforts robbed you of the relentless upward climb that you're truly destined for? On your deathbed, would you really want to look back on a life of mostly playing it safe? Of salvaging dignity and guarding comforts rather than fighting tooth and nail for ambitious dreams that risked failure but promised the greatest joys and sense of actualization? Or would you regret not being able to savor the full measure of what you were capable of, to know you allowed fear or defeat to set artificial limits, while never realizing the capacities you harbored for triumphant ascents over every new level of adversity and challenge? To me, these alternatives are not even in the same stratosphere of desirability. One, playing it safe, ensures a slow decay of potential and mediocre legacy, while the other promises a life on an adventure of limitless actualization, daring greatly and getting back up off the mat a hero every single time you're knocked down. So make your choice, but choose decisively, because the middle ground of comfortable complacency is really just another form of settling. It may be more socially acceptable, but it comes with the same regrets of an extraordinarily life and live. No? My call to you today is to join the intrepid explorers, the scale smashers of human potential who get up again and resume climb every single time they face setbacks, punches in the gut, or exhausting defeats. Join the audacious soul, addicted to the summit, fever of continually tackling higher degrees of difficulty in pursuit of their ultimate ambitions and actualized self-expression. This is the elite tribe of unstoppable achievers and indefatigable self-starters, those willing to push past pain, fatigue, and the doubt of others in order to succeed at the highest order endeavors they've committed their life's energies towards. Their path is not marked by polished perfection or perpetual forward momentum like you see in carefully curated social media glory stories. No, their road is filled with zigs and zags, littered with brutal tests, dark nights of the soul, and moments where giving up seemed justified and safe. What separates them is they refuse to rationalize those exits from their journey. They locked in with unbreakable focus on the final vision while simultaneously embracing the arduous mile markers and growth edges standing between them and that fully realized aspiration. Each time they were sent tumbling off their path. They gained situational awareness on new pitfalls to avoid, new wisdom they could only have obtained from that particular battle scar. And with that compounded experience in their arsenal, they recalibrated tactics and fought their way back up the mountain with progressively savvier and more determined resilience. You see, it's not about perfection or some imagined final destination of having made it. It's about becoming something greater through the struggle than you could have ever been through ease and convenience. It's about resetting your concept of success as perpetual evolving mastery, rather than the achievement of some elusive checklist. So get up off the mat, my friends. Shake off those doubts and excuses for why you cannot rise again after experiencing setbacks. Look life's trials and obstacles square in the eye and declare your absolute determination to keep climbing towards the summits of your highest potential. Because anything less dishonors the miraculous gifts of grit, resilience, creativity, and adaptability that reside within you. To do anything other than get back up and swing for the fences in pursuit of your loftiest ambitions would be to turn your back on the fullest spirit of what it means to be gloriously, triumphantly human. Yes, the path ahead will be grueling at times. There will be pain and battered moments of doubt. But those are mere temporary detours compared to the profound self-actualization and profound pride that comes from refusing to quit on yourself and your dreams time and time again. So get up off the mat, take the lessons and motivation from your previous setbacks, regenerate your energy and focus, and start ascending again, this time smarter, fiercer, and more tenaciously engaged than before in pursuit of the extraordinary life you're truly destined for. Get up and fight again, not just for extrinsic ambitions or fame or riches, but for the actualized human being you're capable of authoring into reality through your resilient perseverance. Get up and fight to seize your fullest spiritual legacy as someone who could not be deterred from leaving their greatest individual dent on this universe. Because the greatest tragedy is not losing individual battles. The true catastrophe is surrendering the entire war on claiming your maximum potential out of resignation or fear of difficulty. The courageous souls who embrace that mindset and get back up again after every defeat, those are the ones who will be beacons of heroic human accomplishment. So this is my charge to you, right here, right now. Make the choice that nothing and no one, not even your own self-doubts, can prevent you from getting back up and battling towards the summits of your biggest visions. Make resilience your most precious virtue, grit your defining quality, and an unwavering refusal to quit on your path your most powerful source of pride and identity. But that is your core operating code. Not only will you achieve the dreams you're daring to actualize, but in the process, you will become the highest, most heroically resilient version of yourself fighting to be born. And with every setback overcome, every plateau summited, and every obstacle transformed into catalyzing motivation to climb again, you will gain compounding self-respect from the knowledge that you are standing squarely in your authentic human powerhouse of creative mastery. The path will not be easy, but the rewards will be beyond description. A life spent fully actualized in tune with your highest abilities actualized and personal potential maximized. A legacy card by leaving nothing on the table and earning the ultimate self-satisfaction of a life spent getting back up again and again in pursuit of your grandest goals. So get up, dust yourself off, and resume climbing with the tenacious spirit of someone who simply cannot be deterred from manifesting their highest ambitions and talents into realized form. Get up and fight again, this time with a soul on fire to succeed against all odds and self-imposed limitations that society tries settling you for. Get up and win, not just from the world and its setbacks thrown your way, but the ultimate reward of winning an extraordinarily heroic lifetime of achievements against the court of your own highest ideals and aspirations. A lifetime defined by the incredible self-overcoming and resilience to get up off the mat one more time whenever adversity or defeat tried knocking you down. That is the spectacular return on investment awaiting those who answer this call to stay committed to the journey of perpetual growth and actualized evolution, no matter what tests and trials try impeding your relentless ascent. Get up, fight on, and you will etch your name in the annals of souls who refuse to die with their potential unfulfilled in the name of comfort, fear, or surrender. The choice has never been simpler. Keep ascending or resign yourself to settling. I know which path I'm taking, and my sincere hope is that you will join me in the ranks of the unstoppable, the undefeated spirits and warriors who get up again and win bigger each time life tries knocking us down. Let me paint a picture for you of two very different paths lying before you. One is the path of mediocrity, complacency, and spiritual atrophy, while the other is the breathtaking journey towards your greatest heights of actualized potential and heroic perseverance against all odds. On the path of mediocrity, each setback and failure along the way slowly erodes your self-belief and commitment to daring greatly. The punches and gut punches life inevitably throws your way start rationalizing resignation and scaling back your ambitions to something more realistic. Little by little, purposeful pursuit of your grandest visions gets replaced with making excuses, doubting yourself, and settling for the sedating comforts of good enough. Until one day, you wake up and realize that comfortable inertia has slowly but surely entombed your life's vitality under layers of excuse-making and abandoned dreams. Once trapped in this pit of stagnant malaise, your hunger for something greater gets replaced with spiritual atrophy and resigned complacency. You start subconsciously lowering your self-expectations as sort of preemptive cushioning against further setbacks or bouts of excruciating effort. Eventually, the nagging yearning for more gets numbed out by distractions, avoidance rituals, and hostage negotiation with the diminished scope of what you're willing to endure in exchange for convenience and emotional ease. You become a shell going through the motions, having surrendered the heroic eternal upward climb towards manifesting your highest ideals. Now let's take a look at the divergent path, the one defined by resilience, perpetual growth, and a stubbornly audacious refusal to abandon your biggest ambitions and dreams. On this path, setbacks and failures are not rationalized as justification for quitting or shrinking your timeline and possibilities. No, each tumble and pitfall is hash-marked as invaluable experience, profound lessons, and opportunities for iterative tactical shifts to be extracted and integrated into your next assault on the summit. You view life not as a linear trajectory with a singular finish line, but an ever-advancing expedition of peak after peak, waiting to be overcome through tenacity and innovation. So when you take a bad fall and realize you veered severely off the path, there's no beating yourself up over sunk costs or catastrophizing. You simply get back up, recalibrate using your previous scar tissue as a map. From this lens, there's no such thing as true failure in the way that mindset poisons so many well-intentioned goal setters. There's just pausing intermissions littered with incredibly valuable learning opportunities. What feels like gut-punching failure? in the emotional moment is actually vital experiential data on where your previous tactics fell short and need to be updated. You come to realize that the actualization of your grandest ambition was never going to happen through some straight linear conveyor belt of perpetual forward progress. No, it could only be achieved through forging anti-fragile resilience in response to repeated iterations of obstacles overcome, new lessons absorbed, and persistent upward ascents resumed with more wisdom under your belt. So when you face setbacks and moments where inertia or self-doubt threatens to stall out your commitment, you go inward. You reconnect to the blazing why that first sparked these grandest ambitions alight within you. That core reason for pursuing the extraordinary, that fear, fatigue or convenience cannot corrode or extinguish. You fan those smoldering embers until they become an inferno, driving your forward step. Single-minded focus on the exalted, transcendent form of your ultimate self you're fighting to birth into being. And you obstinately refuse to abandon or negotiate away from that heroic existential identity being forged through overcoming each progressively grander crucible experience along your ascendant path. From this lens, setbacks are no longer heart-crushing failures, but mere temporary course adjustments and opportunities to absorb new intelligence on the evolving gauntlet before you. They become calculated checkpoints to regenerate your energy, integrate powerful lessons, and slingshot forward with new strategies based on your updated understanding of the terrain you're navigating. So it becomes impossible to quit, not because of some toxic hustle porn drive to grind yourself down at all costs, but because you've completely rewired how you contextualize challenges, obstacles, and setbacks as fortifying agents in the grander process of forging yourself into your most transcendent, self-actualized form. They actually embolden your determination to grow beyond their friction points. Every mountain face you get turned back from isn't failure. It's just a loading screen for the next upgraded version of your aspiring self to start mapping out a new pathway up a higher, more difficult pitch prime to expand your capacities. And when you do finally crest that higher peak, the self-respect, fulfillment, and hunger for the next apex test awaiting you will be tenfold more ravenous. You see, from this vantage point of resilience, growth is an eternally renewable resource because your ambition and idealized self-concept are calibrated towards perpetual evolution through voluntary struggle. You're not just chasing a singular destination where you can put on the parking brake. You're enlisted as a lifelong adventurer feverishly scaling upwards towards your highest heroic form. Does this path sound arduous? Of course it does. Anything truly worth achieving demands intensity, unwavering commitment, and stubborn perseverance through challenges. But that's the profound point. It's through this heroic voluntary pursuit of obstacles overcome that you forge yourself into a spectacular work of art whose legacy impacts will echo through eternity. This upward path of ascension may be treacherous at times, but what could be a more honorable and meaningful way to spend the sacred energies of your finite life? To fight for something greater than convenience? To sacrifice safety and ease in service of manifesting glimpses of your most elevated potentiality into realized form. From this lens, you don't just survive the sucker punches, setbacks, and uphill climbs littered across your journey. No, you enthusiastically embrace them as opportunities to flex new capacities out of the dark void of voluntary struggle, to demonstrate to yourself in raw, unforgiving clarity that giving up is not even an optionality in your psychological matrix, because you've transcended beyond setting simple binary goals, checking boxes, and retiring to a disintegrating plateau of lifeless comforts. No, you've done the deep identity level self-work to become an unstoppable upward arcing trajectory in search of new heights, to actualize and abilities to initiate rather than just skills to build. You've committed to becoming a hero's journey rather than just showing up as a passive extra in your own life story. And that level of self-actualization and congruent embodied values forged out of the crucible of struggle, that is quite simply the Everest of extraordinary human achievement. So while most resign themselves to a safe, sedentary journey of avoidance rituals, spiritual stagnation, and cutting deals with their own life's potential, you are enlisting as a resilience-made warrior, an intrepid mountaineer hungry to overcome each successive peak and grander test of fortitude. Because you're not here for some finite, linear checkbox conception of achieving success and then going into retirement. No, you're here to experience the rarefied air of strapping on your battle gear each morning and squaring up to attempt dominating the unconquered, uncharted territories of your most idealized potentialities into manifested reality. The path won't be easy. In fact, at times it'll feel downright unbearable, and you'll be tempted to quit and settle into the relaxing gravity of complacency calling out to you. But in those moments of wavering resolve, remember this: a life of hunger, growth, and actualizing your most heroic self occurs one resilient, stubbornly perseverant decision at a time. It's a million tiny momentary choices strung together by iron discipline and unshakable commitment towards continual ascent. It's waking up each morning and doing the inexplicably harder thing yet again in service of slowly but surely manifesting your ambitions through wisdom extracted from failures. It's deciding daily that you'd rather become a spectacular instance of human potential brought into realized form through voluntary struggle than just avoiding discomfort and resigning your precious life's force towards some slow, sedated entropy of unfulfilled dreams. This is your call to adventure, your invitation to join the elite tribe of spiritual mountaineers, hell-bent on overcoming each successive self-imposed limitation and giving zero psychological leeway for plateaued complacency. To enlist in service of a life spent battling for something far greater than temporary comforts and playing it safe. A sacred undertaking to forge your most heroic self into fully fledged embodied existence, one resilient mother effort at a time in the face of adversity. It won't be easy. No heroic journey ever is. But those who have the courage to choose this upward path experience a soul-nourishing, pride-emboldening transcendence most will never realize, because they are willfully embracing the hero's journey, the actualized, limitless manifestation of what it truly means to be a human being with godlike capacities for innovation and reinvention in pursuit of realizing our highest virtues and potentialities. They have voluntarily chosen arduous, committed striving, unshakable resilience, and perpetual growth over complacency, excuse-making, and spiritual withering from toxic convenience. And they'll never regret their choice, for the ultimate bounty earned is a life so extraordinarily heroic, so abundantly overflowing with realized potential and growth extracted through iterations of ascent, that it resonates through eternity as a reverberating example of human greatness at its zenith. So I implore you, make the same choice that history's giants and most impactful protagonists have always made. Choose discomfort over complacency, voluntary struggle over comforts that entomb your spirit, grit and resilience over instantaneous gratification and lowered buckets of expectation. Choose to say no to spiritual regression back into stagnant safety nets and overly convenient plateaus. Choose instead to become something far greater than society's suppressive gravities of mediocrity would have you resign yourself towards. Choose get up again and fight on through every setback, challenge, or uphill battle in your way. For that is the only true path towards manifesting your most heroic self into breathtaking form and gifting the world the fullest bounty of your actualized potential.